Guys, Loki Episode 5 just proved that the MCU isn't playing around, and that it can still operate at the level in which it once did. It was the Infinity War of Marvel TV, and I just didn't expect to come out of this episode as hyped as I am. But what is this all leading to, and what's gonna happen in the finale? More importantly, when do I get a jet ski? Let's talk about it. What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Jones Vibes. Hit the like button if your world is turning into spaghetti, and let's dive in. And man, what an episode. I don't know if you guys are feeling like me, but Loki just so far has been incredible. It's certainly not some Mo BS like some of the other shows. Sorry about that. But if you watched my last review, I was talking about how the cliffhanger that last week ended on was one of the best cliffhangers that the MCU has ever done, but we have a new winner after this week because it ended on another crazy cliffhanger. The end of this episode honestly gave me chills, and there's just so much to speculate about where this is all heading. But first, let's just talk about episode 5. It's titled Science Fiction, and Paul from Heavy Spoilers pointed out that this could actually be a Rocky Horror Picture Show reference, and they also could be referencing the time warp with the time slipping, and that just got me really excited because Rocky Horror Picture Show is my wife's favorite movie of all time, and if that is the case, props to whoever is behind that. Also, if somebody ever invites you to a Rocky Horror Picture Show dress-up event at a movie theater, just make sure you're not dressing up and going the same week that Top Gun Maverick is coming out, because you'll be the one with the feather scarf on while all the other guys with the aviators are walking around, and if you're trying to feel manly, it just doesn't work. But I was really curious where this was all heading and how they were going to pick up after last week. And basically, the entire team was just thrown back into their own branches of the timeline. And the way that I'm understanding it is, it's not the sacred timeline, it's branches off of the sacred timeline, and they also have all had their memory wiped. Everyone besides Loki and Sylvie. And Loki ending up in this ominous, empty TVA space was an absolute trip, man. Especially with him starting to time slip again and being stretched apart. It really reminded me of the very first episode of this season. But as we dive into this episode, like, the exploration of the other characters' lives was so much fun. Like, that couldn't have been any better to me. You got the feeling that these characters were very meticulously chosen, like B-15 being the doctor, and Casey randomly being this, like, criminal. But obviously the one that we have to highlight is Mobius. He's just this simple jet ski salesman with 2 young sons, an older, wiser kid, and a younger, mischievous little dude. Reminiscent of Thor and Loki, if you caught on to that. But I just loved seeing Owen Wilson kind of portray this just, like, simple, random suburban guy. It fits perfect with him, and it was nice to see just all of that jet ski talk kind of come full circle. But we also had OB, and he's this struggling sci-fi writer with a PhD, but he can't get anyone to read his books, and that was sad. I'll buy your books, OB! But the key things that I wanted to focus on here are towards the end of the episode, the first being the bar scene with Loki and Sylvie. She kind of digs at him and pries at him until he finally kind of confesses that he just wants his friends back. Like, that's his motivation here. He does want to save the multiverse, but the main source of his drive is just the care for his friends. And just watching this is just kind of mind-blowing, knowing the character arc that we have, like, presented in front of us right here. We started with Loki, and he's talking about humans as if they're ants on a boot, and now we're coming all the way around where he's literally talking about how much he cares about these people, and he feels like he finally has a family. He feels like he finally belongs somewhere. And Tom Hiddleston's performance in this was outstanding. Like, you rarely get to see Marvel have any recognition at award shows like the Emmys, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's up for at least something for this season, because I feel like he deserves it. But then after he goes back, we go to Sylvie, and she's going to this record store that she apparently frequents. And this is where things just get absolutely crazy. Like, she sits down and she starts listening to a song by Velvet Underground, and similar to a record spinning, the entire fabric of this story and this entire universe just starts to unravel. And I'm sure it totally depends on what you were watching this on. Like, if you watch this on a phone, it might not have been as powerful, but visually, this was just stunning. The coffee spilling, yet, like, ripping apart, and Sylvie leaving out of this now empty, broken void in space. It was really powerful imagery. And from there, the rest of the episode just got extremely thought-provoking. Everyone is gathered together in what is clearly the start of the TVA. Am I right with that? All of the pieces are there, and throughout the episode, it just resembles OB's mailroom area more and more. I mean, it definitely looks familiar, but as things ramp up and everybody kind of comes together, you think that this episode is heading in a direction where, like, okay, now they can go save the day, but no. no, all of a sudden, we get this Infinity War-esque moment where all of our favorite characters once again start to vanish. But this time, it's like spaghetti and not dust. And in this moment, Loki harnesses the power of his heart and emotion, and he learns that it's, I don't know, this sounds cheesy, but it's love or it's heart that allows him to control his time slipping. He can now fly above this Ouroboros that he's been trapped in and land wherever he wants. He's not bound to it. And he goes back and tells everybody that he's harnessed this power and he's going to transport somewhere. And so they could have stopped the episode right there. Like, that would have been a cliffhanger enough in itself. But he does transport somewhere, and they show that he goes back and he just appears right before the loom explodes, and that's where we're gonna be next week. And this was just the freaking coolest and craziest cliffhanger, man. Like I said earlier, I legitimately got chills. This episode just really delivered for me, and now I'm stuck for the entire week just wondering what in the hell is gonna happen next. It's not so much a spoiler. We've already seen some trailer footage of both Victor Timely and also separately Loki standing on the bridge to the loom, and so obviously something's going to be happening with that. Are they going to actually repair the loom? And then if they do, what happens after that? Where does Kang fit into all this? Is the council aware that all this is taking place? And also, doesn't this episode sort of imply that Loki actually created the TVA? I mean, he took that group of people and put them all together, but then he left. But since he left, like, they all still exist, though, right? And so did they stay there and that's how things started? I don't know. I feel like I could be getting that wrong, and I'm sure that there will be questions that are answered next week, but that's what it seems like to me. I'll have to run some numbers and keep trying to figure it out. But regardless, I just think that we're in for a very, very special season finale of this. It's honestly sad that this is almost over. That's just really sad. But you want to know what's more important than my opinion? Your opinion. Please, guys, let me know all your thoughts down in the comments. I'd really appreciate to hear what you have to say about this. My theories could be all over the place. I would love to hear if you have any theories or speculation, or if you have some answers for me, because I'm probably just as confused as all of you. Also, I do want to say, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button for me. I'd really appreciate that support. It goes a long way. Also, you can follow me on X at Jones Vibes Only, and don't forget to keep up the good vibes, guys. But we have one more episode of Loki Season 2, and hopefully this finale is just as crazy as the rest of the season has been.